Global Affairs analyst Amuda Mosigbodi joins me now to speak on the attacks on Belgorod region. Good to have you join us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let me state that he's joining us virtually from Ibadan. Now, let me start by asking you, because Russia is now blaming Ukraine for this particular attack on its territory. But we also know that two groups of Russian volunteers who are fighting on the side of Ukraine have claimed responsibility. What do you make of this?
One thing that is clear is that in international politics, morality is definitely out of the game. And of course, after the old G7 meeting and the support that they promised to give to Ukraine, it was expected that Russia was going to, there was going to be clapbacks, and Russia was definitely going to respond. It's good that some of the volunteer groups for Ukraine, Russian volunteer groups for Ukraine, have claimed responsibility. But we can also see that the Russian government is still, laying the blame at the feet of the Kyiv, at the feet of Kyiv, which tells you that there is a need for, a victim. There must be a victim in all of this. Russia knowing very well the old game pattern, and of course Ukraine knowing well the old game pattern and the blame game that will spring up as a result of this. All this back and forth is expected. In coming days, we may also see more of Russian attacks, and of course, hopefully, with the support that Ukraine is also getting from the G7 countries, with the expected arrival of training of Ukrainian pilots for the use of the F-16 and other things, we may also begin to see a new twist. Though there are, it's quite complex just beyond that. But then we may begin to see a new twist. But definitely, there would always be a Russian response to all of this.
And interesting you mentioned Russian response, because Russia has always warned that any attack on its territory would lead to a major escalation. Do you expect that to happen in terms of it being a major escalation? And then what are the Russia's options for that escalation?
As soon as the G7 meeting was, called and done, some of us expressed optimism that what they are doing, particularly the Western countries are doing, will not solve the problem. Definitely, it will not solve the problem. The efforts of the like of China to mediate between Ukraine and Russia definitely has not been taken in good light by the Western countries. But trying to give area support in any form to Ukraine is just going to inflame the already inflamed fire. And that's why Russia will definitely keep responding. Don't forget that this whole war started as a result of Ukraine's decision to become a member of NATO, which Russia considers a threat to its own sovereignty. And this meeting by the G7 definitely too, and their support will still be considered a further threat to the sovereignty of Russia, because it would also mean that air base, military bases will be established in Ukraine, and without doubt, I'm sure that the US would not also want Russia to establish, military bases in Mexico, which is a neighboring country. So it is expected that Russia will respond. What other options do they have? I feel that the only option that Russia has, while we may not advocate war, the only option that Russia has in this instance is the option that they are pursuing. Yes, there may be conciliatory move, but unfortunately that has not been the case, because we are talking about, it's not just even an attempt to make the international space a unipolar world, and now we are having a multipolar world. So every part and every segment is trying to fight for its life and ensure that its stay is maintained.
Well, we'll see how things play out, especially now that the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orbán, is saying that he sees no victory for Ukraine. Thank you so much for talking to us, as always. Global Affairs analyst, Amuda Mosigbodi.